It's great to be here in Florida, possibly the soon-to-be second largest medical marijuana industry in the entire country. But as many of you know, the initiative needs to get 60% to pass, and it's going to be a very tight race. And it's up to the residents of Florida to continue to fund and drive this initiative home. Nothing is inevitable. I have to disagree with a previous presenter about marijuana prohibition being over. It is far from over. You could ask thousands, hundreds of thousands of minorities in cities all across the country. Marijuana prohibition is not over. Certainly the train has left the station and the momentum is certainly building, but there is a lot of work that needs to be done, and we need to continue to work day in and day out diligently to end marijuana prohibition. As you know, the Florida campaign is getting a lot of attention, and they are calling it one of the hottest initiatives or political campaigns of 2014. Current polls are showing 70% approval for Amendment 2, but as I mentioned, nothing is inevitable. So we need to continue to lobby, talk to different legislators, and continue to fight the good fight. There were a few key moments in 2013 that laid the groundwork for the Florida initiative and other cannabis initiatives throughout the country. Sorry about that. One of them was the Cole Memo. In August of 2013, the federal government released the Cole Memo, and it stated that they were not going to interfere with states like Colorado and Washington that have passed adult use legislation. Another was a Gallup poll, which was released in October of 2013, and it shows that 58% of Americans are now in support or in favor of marijuana legislation for adult use. Even as significant as that 58% majority is that was a 10-point jump from where it was in 2012. And you could see that poll has been taken, whoops, now it makes more sense. That poll had been taken since 1969 when it was 12%. So there's been major progress over the last 44 years. This is an exciting time in the cannabis industry. The walls of prohibition are crumbling rapidly, and the Arcview Group is at the epicenter of America's next great industry. So why am I here today? I'm here to talk to you about the Arcview Group and how we could help you invest and raise capital in the cannabis industry. The Arcview Group was co-founded by my brother, Troy Dayton. He has 15 years experience as an activist and fundraiser in the cannabis movement, and was a pioneer entrepreneur during the dot-com and renewable energy boom. In the late 90s, he helped to co-found Students for Sensible Drug Policy while he was attending American University in Washington, D.C., and is now the CEO of the Arcview Group and one of the most well-known and respected people in the cannabis industry. That may be a familiar face. Steve D'Angelo is the other co-founder of the Arcview Group. He's also the founder of Harborside Health Center in Oakland, California, which is the largest dispensary in the world that has really set the bar for the testing of cannabis and creating a very safe and professional environment for adults to buy their cannabis. He also has over 30 years of experience as a cannabis activist. So combined, the two founders of Arcview have nearly a half century of experience and are two of the most well-known people in the industry. At the Arcview Group, we believe that business is the most powerful platform for political change, and that the development of a responsible, profitable, and politically engaged cannabis industry will be the single biggest factor in hastening a day when not a single adult in the world is punished for this plant. There are two divisions of the Arcview Group. One is the Arcview Investor Network, and the other is Arcview Market Research, which recently published the second edition of the State of Legal Marijuana Markets, which is the most cited and most detailed analysis of the current state of the cannabis industry. At our big investor conference in Las Vegas in January this year, We released a 250-page hardbound copy, which sells for $475. And for the cost of 1 or 2 hours of a top expert's time, you get the benefit of hundreds of hours of research, hundreds of surveys of market participants, and in-depth interviews with the top business people and policy changers in the industry. In addition to gaining immediate digital access, which is updated regularly as things evolve and change, you also get a hardbound copy, which Troy's holding up there, which will be sent to you in 1 to 2 weeks. That is unless you are one of the first 5 people to purchase one today. I brought 5 copies, and I hope not to have to bring them home because I think I was overweight coming down, so I'll have to pay another premium. The report also comes with some slide decks. I'm going to show you some examples of those. This one shows the customer saturation. As you can see, Colorado has the highest saturation in the country. It also covers large markets based on the projected revenue for Florida. As some people are saying, at $785 million, it would be right in between California and Colorado. It also covers medium markets. As you can see, Massachusetts did not have any 2013 revenues because they're in the process of implementing their market right now. And then the small markets, Nevada being the largest of the small markets, ranging from New Jersey all the way to Vermont, some of them with existing revenues and even more without. It shows inactive and active states. There are currently 21 legal medical marijuana states plus Washington, D.C. It goes over medical versus adult use, only Colorado and Washington at this moment being the only 2 that are allowing adult use or marijuana. But we are predicting that in by 2018, there will be 14 more states to adopt similar adult use legislation. And here you could see new state projections. The State of Legal Marijuana Markets, second edition, is the definitive source for market sizes and high-level analysis of business trends in one of the fastest growing markets in the US. To purchase a report, you could see me today after the conference or go to arcviewmarketresearch.com. And there's also a free executive summary you could download. It's about 25 pages, which gives you a little insight about what the report covers. The other division of the Arcview Group is the Arcview Investor Network. It's an angel investor group which has over 170 accredited investor members. It's the largest concentration of key players in capital to ever assemble in the cannabis industry. They meet anywhere from 4 to 6 times per year to look at the top investment opportunities in companies that are seeking capital. But before I get more into the Arcview Investor Network, I want to briefly go over a few frequently asked questions about angel investing. What is an angel investor? An angel investor is a high net worth individual who invests his or her own money in startup companies in exchange for equity positions in the businesses. What are angel groups? An angel group is a collective of angel investors that join with other angels to invest collectively in startup companies. And you may have heard of venture capitalists before compared to angels. There are a number of differences, but the main are the angels invest their own funds, where VCs typically invest from other sources like pension funds, insurance companies, and foundations. Angels invest in seed stage companies, while VCs typically invest in later stage companies. And another main difference is the amount of money that they invest. VCs typically invest anywhere from $2 million and up, while angels typically invest between $5,000 to $100,000. So when should you approach an angel investment group if you're one of the people that raise your hand that is going to be looking to start a business? You're going to need capital, as I heard another presenter say. It's not a cheap business to get into. So if you have a product that is developed or near completion, If you have existing customers or potential customers who will confirm they will buy from you, if you've invested your own dollars and exhausted other alternatives, including friends and family, if you can demonstrate that the business is likely to grow rapidly and reach at least 10 million in annual revenues in the next 3 to 7 years, or if your business is in tip-top shape and you're ready to present to a group. What are some of the criteria that Arcview uses to select entrepreneurs? There we go. We look for a strong management team with experience and proven skills. We look for a unique product or service. We also look at your personal financial investment in the company. Look for a clear picture of the market for your product or service and a realistic plan for market penetration. We look for an exit strategy for investors that is reachable within 5 to 7 years. And we also look that there's a potential strong return for investment. What process can I expect if I apply to Arcview for funding? There's an application process. You could submit that online, or you could email Michael Blunk. We also do some pre-screening, and then we now host weekly webinars where our investor members actually do that layer of due diligence, and we're introducing anywhere from 2 to 6 companies per week through our online platform. If you want more information, if you're a company looking to raise capital, please email our Director of Company Relations, Michael Blunk, at arcviewgroup.com. Again, that's Michael Blunk, MICHAELBLUNK, at arcviewgroup.com. Should you expect to pay fees to participate in the screening process or to present to the Arcview Investor Network? The answer 2 weeks ago would have been yes. However, we recently got rid of the fees. There are now no company fees to apply, to present at our weekly presentations online, or to present at the live conference if you are selected to pitch.
If anybody knows anything, that was a big development at Arcview.
Yes, we just released that maybe a couple of weeks ago. So who joins Arcview from the investor side? We actually have a very wide array of investor members. The group includes billionaires. We have representatives from venture capital funds. We have heads of some of the most well-known companies in the sector, as well as general investors who are just excited about being a part of the next big American industry. Investors like Sam Znaimer. He's the founder of Locarno Capital, and Sam is a pioneer of the cannabis venture capital scene with almost 30 years of hands-on early-stage experience. Also, Doug Layton, founder of Duchess Capital. It's a Boston-headquartered global hedge fund, which has managed an investment portfolio over $2 billion in transactional value. And then we have some industry leaders. Trip Kieber is the founder of Dixie Elixirs, which is a medical marijuana-infused product manufacturer based in Colorado, also now obviously making for adult use, which serves over 500 plus marijuana centers. Then we have some general investors, like my good friend now, who I met through Arcview, Ed Rudisell. He's a restaurateur who owns 3 restaurants in Indianapolis, and after his first meeting, invested into 2 companies through Arcview. And then we have Lindy Snyder. She's the founder of Lindy Skin, which is a unique line of skincare created specifically for those who are going through cancer treatment. I didn't update the slide, but I have a picture of Tom here. Hi, Tom. Sorry you didn't see him there. We'll get to it later. The Arcview Investor Network's memberships have grown from 35 members 1 year ago to over 170 members today. Take a look at this conference in January of 2013. I believe there were about 20 investor members there and 2 or 3 companies that were presenting. Compared to this conference, which was just 1 year later in January of 2014 in Las Vegas, we had over 125 accredited investor members and about a dozen companies that presented to raise capital. As you could see, this industry is evolving rapidly, and you're probably wondering if you are a good fit to be an investor member or even a company member. As far as being an investor member, if you are an accredited investor by the SEC's definition, and you are looking to invest a minimum of $50,000 into the cannabis industry, then the answer is yes. We do not police the minimum investment of $50,000, but we try to make sure that we don't turn Arcview into a social network, because there are many additional values in becoming a member of such an elite group than just getting access to the best pre-vetted opportunities. You have the ability to network with the highest concentration of key players in capital, and you also have the ability to close the knowledge gap which exists. A lot of people obviously want to get involved in the fastest growing industry in the country, but they just don't know how, and there's a huge knowledge gap, and Arcview really helps to close that knowledge gap. How do investors get introduced to the top pre-vetted investment opportunities in the cannabis industry? There are two ways. We host weekly webinars, which I mentioned, where Arcview investor members get access to 2 to 6 companies per week that are seeking capital. And as a reverse, entrepreneurs get access to our investor members on a weekly basis now. We also host big investor conferences, which I showed you a picture of in Las Vegas, 4 to 6 times per year in various parts of the country. Our next event is in Denver on June 23rd. So what happens at an Arcview investor conference? I get asked that a lot. Typically, this is actually my first presentation to an audience. I typically am on the phone talking to prospects from all over the country, sometimes all over the world. We have investor members from Europe, Canada, and Mexico. And I also get asked a lot if I could come kind of test the waters for free. But unfortunately, the live investor conferences are exclusively for Arcview members. But I'm going to try to give you a look or a clear picture of what happens at an Arcview event, which I don't typically have this luxury on a phone call, but I could share some pictures with you. The conference typically starts around 9 a.m. That's cannabis time, so about 9:15. Opening remarks from Troy Dayton and Steve D'Angelo. Whoops, we got ahead of ourselves there. This is a sensitive little remote here. There we go. Are we working against each other or with each other here? There we go. All right, next one. There we go. So there's Steve getting interviewed by somebody at Fox. Our events typically draw a lot of media attention. And depending on what state we're in, sometimes we actually start the event with a press conference where we announce some deals that were made during the last conference, which gives our entrepreneurs and companies a lot of media attention and a lot of publicity. And there's Trip Kieber from Dixie Elixirs being interviewed by Cairo Channel 7. I believe that was in Seattle. We also spend some of the morning hearing from nonprofits and industry associations like MPP, which is the Marijuana Policy Project, SSDP, Students for Sensible Drug Policy, and NCIA. You see Aaron Smith, Executive Director of NCIA on stage, which is the National Cannabis Industry Association. Another highlight of the morning is a networking session where we introduce as many companies to as many investors as possible in a kind of speed dating format. People are always very engaged and get a lot out of this segment of our program, and we always get a lot of good feedback on this. People also get very good at ending conversations because they only get 3 minutes with each company, and we sound a big bell and everybody has to abruptly end their conversations and move on. Then this is us wrapping up in Las Vegas before we break for lunch. Throughout the day, there are always a lot of collaborations going on and discussions that take place amongst investors. Oh, there he is. That slide was supposed to be moved. There's Tom. Was that in Boston? During the conference, we typically have about 10 to 15 featured companies presenting. This is a picture of Daniel Yazbak from MyDX presenting at our conference in Las Vegas. MyDX has developed a handheld cannabis analyzer which tests for the percentage of CBD, which is cannabidiol, and THC, which most people are familiar with, but there are actually over hundreds of cannabinoids. So we've just barely scratched the surface of the potential of this plant. How does Arcview make money? Well, we actually only generate revenues through our membership fees. We do not take a piece of any of the investments that are made. And we also have some sponsorships and exhibit booths where we generate a little bit of revenue. There's 3 different levels of membership for investor members. One is an individual membership, which is $2,500 per year. It allows the individual to attend our online deal platform where they get access to all the deal flow dating back to April of 2013. We also have weekly webinars where through the individual membership you have free access to attend all of those. And then we also host the 4 to 6 live conferences per year. Under the individual membership, it is free for the first meeting, but each subsequent meeting is $375 to attend. And I was given permission by my brother, so it's easy to get his ear sometimes if I have an idea. He said that anyone who signs up today will get a free copy of the second edition of the State of Legal Marijuana Markets under the individual membership. We also have a corporate membership, which is $8,500 per year. It allows 3 members to attend the online deal platform with access to companies' business plans and video pitches dating back to 2013. Also the weekly webinars and the 4 to 6 conferences per year. Under this membership, there is no charge to attend the conferences, so almost a $1,500 value per conference if you were to attend with 3 members. You also get 3 complimentary copies of the second edition of the State of Legal Marijuana Markets report. And anyone who signs up today will get a decisiveness discount of $500 off the cost of membership. We also have our top level membership, which is a marquee membership. It's $15,000 per year. Very similar to the corporate, allows you, instead of bringing 3 members, you could bring 4 members, with the major difference that you also get a $10,000 sponsorship credit to be used at the investor's discretion. So this is a unique membership level for people that are looking to make a big impact or a big splash on the highest concentration of key players in capital. And instead of getting 3 copies of the report, you get 4 copies, and also there is a decisiveness discount on that membership as well today. So what kind of companies have been successful raising capital through Arcview? Over the last year, approximately, there have been 13 companies that have pitched Arcview and have raised at least $10 million as a result of their participation with the Arcview Investor Network. One of those companies you saw earlier is MyDX. They've raised capital, and I mentioned what they do. They developed a handheld cannabis analyzer. You also have Canna Security America. They provide security services for the cannabis industry. CSA is the ADT of the cannabis industry, and their market share is growing as more states are coming online for medical and adult use. We also have Medicine Man Denver. They made their first presentation in September of 2013 in Denver, which was the first meeting where we allowed non-ancillary businesses to actually present to our network. The reason that we allowed that to happen was, as I mentioned earlier, the Cole Memo made us feel more comfortable when the federal government said they were not going to interfere with states like Colorado and Washington. And we were also getting a lot of pressure from our investor members that were looking and seeking investment opportunities into the actual plant, a cultivation center, a dispensary, or a marijuana-infused products company, also known as a MIPS company. And Medicine Man raised $1.6 million through a high-interest loan between September of 2013 and today. Then you have a company like Ebu, a Denver-based cannabis company that uses cutting-edge technology, or chemistry rather, to offer top-quality branded marijuana products which allow individuals to customize their high according to how they want to feel. I believe it's Giggle, Energy, Chill, and there are 2 more. I wouldn't be a very good spokesperson for their company. You have Apex Supercritical. I heard our last presenter talking about the extracts. This is an exploding market of the cannabis industry. I was at the show in Las Vegas in January. Don't remember the name, Champ Show, and I was blown away by the percentage of booths that were focused on the vaporizers. Apex makes a CO2 extraction machine, which they just can't make enough of as that industry or as that sector, continues to explode. Then we have Road Dogg. They're a premium brand cannabis packaging company, as is Cork and FunkSec. And Hydro Garden Industry Innovations has developed an electronic trimmer, and they've been successful in raising capital as well, as has Harborside Health Center, which is the largest cannabis dispensary in the world that is in the process of expanding their brand nationally. And then you have Uptoke. There's just a couple more. They have developed the next generation of handheld vaporizers with a built-in grinder. And then Massroots, which is a social network for cannabis enthusiasts where they can share their pictures and experience. It's kind of like the Facebook for the cannabis industry. So I know it seems like Arcview is all business, and I'm sure you're not going to be too surprised to hear that the answer is no. We are not all business. We pack a lot of business into our conferences, and in fact, we've been suggested, it's been, in our feedback, we get a lot of people want it to be a 2-day conference, which may happen in the future. As of right now, it's a 1-day conference, but we definitely understand the importance of having a good time, and every conference that we host is followed up by a pretty epic after party. And this was a picture of our after party in Denver, Colorado, which was sponsored by Open Vape, which, to the point of the extract boom, they make cartridges that are filled with different types of cannabis oil. This is actually also the location. This was the Four Seasons in Denver. This is the location of our next after party following our next investor conference on June 23rd. Some pictures of some happy investors. And then we were at Crane Castle at our most recent conference where Tom was in attendance. This was in Ipswich, Massachusetts, for our after party following our conference on April 3rd. And at our last conference in Denver, which was September of 2013, we hosted an industry tour for our members the day before the event. And this was a picture of the party bus when we were on our way to visit a dispensary. This is the clinic in Denver. And also, we visited a cultivation center. And there's a picture of one of our staff and one of our investor members, Lori Ferrara. So what now? I know that was a lot of information. If you're interested in learning more about joining Arcview as an investor looking to invest or an entrepreneur seeking capital, please see me after the show. As I mentioned, there is a Florida Cannabis Coalition discount if you decide to join, or if now is not the right time, definitely feel free to email me at jeffdayton@arcviewgroup.com. Cannabis is the next great American industry. We look forward to building it with you. Thank you for your time.